Hey everyone, today we are going to be estimating. We will estimate fraction quotient. So we are going to divide because that is what quotient means. And hopefully you're super excited because anytime you hear the word estimate, it means that you can make the math easy. So why am I okay with estimating? Why am I teaching you how to make math easy? Well, it's because most things in life we don't need like an exact answer to something. We just need to know, about how much trail mix will each person get? Type of questions like that. So estimating is one of the skills you will actually use in your life, which I can't say that for all of the math that I teach you, but this one you will definitely use in your life. So when you estimate fractions, it is okay to change them to friendly fractions. And honestly, the only friendly fraction that I like is 1/2. So if you have a small fraction like 1/10 or 2/30 or like 3/15, something that's very, very small, just change it to 0. If you have something close to half, something close to like 3/6 or 4/8 or even like 7/15, because 7/14 is exactly half, so 7/15 is really close to half, I'm okay if you just change it to half. And if you have a big fraction like 5/6 or 7/8 or 9/11, then change it to 1/2. So these are kind of the fractions we're going to use. We're not going to use 2/3 or 4/5. Let's use 1/2 or 0 or 1 today. We're going to make math easy. So let me give you an example of when it's okay to estimate. So let's say you're a marine biologist and you are studying whales. They have a song. Humpback whales have a song that they repeat continuously over periods of several hours. So if you're underwater, if you're a marine biologist and you have an underwater microphone and you've realized that the humpback whale song is 3 5/6 of a minute, and you look at your battery power left and you're like, oh, I have 15 3/4 minutes left of battery life. About how many songs am I going to get? You don't need an exact answer on this. You just need an estimate. So let's estimate 15 3/4 divided into those 3 5/6. So 3/4 is one of those bigger fractions. So it's basically 1, right? So let's say that 15 3/4, let's just change it to 16. That's way easier than 15 3/4. And then 3 5/6, well, 5/6 is also one of those bigger fractions. So let's change that to 1 as well. So now we have 16 and 4. And we're going to divide that, and that is much easier to do. You're left with 4. 4 times. You'll be able to record the humpback whale about 4 times. And you're like, well, is that enough? Yeah. If you only had enough to record like once or twice, you might be like, oh, I better charge. But 4 times, that's a good amount, okay? So today you're going to use compatible numbers, numbers that are friendly to work with. They're easy to work with, but they're also close. 16 is very close to 15 3/4. 4 is very close to 3 5/6. That is what a compatible number is. Make sure you write friendly in your notes. All right, so let me give you some more examples now in our notes, just some practice of making this math easy. 2/3 is very close to 1, isn't it? So let's change this to 6. And then 5/8, well, 4/8 is half, isn't it? So let's change that to half. Now 6 divided into halves. How could we do that? Well, think of having 6 cookies and dividing them all in half, cutting them all in half. How many pieces are you going to have? Well, you're going to have 12 pieces left, aren't you? Because you're cutting them in half. So that is why I am only okay with dividing by half, because it's the same thing as timesing by 2, isn't it? We're cutting things in half. We're making them so there's twice as many. So make math easy. All right, what about 22 1/3 and 1 5/6? Here's another tip. If you have a fairly big number, like 22 1/3, it's actually completely okay to just kind of ignore that fraction, because we know that fractions are small amounts, right? That's not even 1/2. That is like a tiny little amount of a whole. So it's okay if you just leave the 22, 22, okay? Now with smaller numbers like this, When you only have 1 plus another 5/6, that does make quite a big difference. So you'll want to keep the fraction here, but 5/6 is close to 1, isn't it? So we can go 22 divided by 2 is 11. Okay, that was easy enough. If it's not something that you can do mentally in your head, then your numbers are not friendly enough. The goal today is that we can just write down the two numbers and mentally figure out the answer in our head. If we have to do some division on the side over here, then it's not easy enough. Okay, all right, 7/8 is close to 1. Now 1/4, that one's not too bad, right? So I am okay if you leave it, if you change it to 1/2, or if you divide it, make it 0, but 1 divided by 0 doesn't really make sense. So let's either keep 1 divided by 1/2, or 1/4 is not bad. Either way, here's another estimation tip, or another tip when you have something like this. If you have one whole candy bar and you're dividing it into fourths, how many is that going to give you? 4, right? So if you can estimate and get the first number to be a 1, then it's not that hard to model one candy bar of something divided into however many fractions. So if we were to model this, this is 1 whole divided into half will give you 2. So we know the actual answer will be, around 2 or 3 or 4. Okay, so the estimation tip there is model. If you start out with 1, then model a candy bar being cut into halves or cut into fourths or cut into whatever fraction you choose. All right, one more estimation tip. If the numbers are bigger, it's okay to fudge them 1 or 2 more. Let me show you what I mean. 7/10 is close to like 1 whole, when you say. So this would be 62. And then 8/9 is also close to 1/2, so I'll change it to 9. But 62 divided by 9 is not something I can do mentally in my head. 62 and 9 are not very friendly with each other. But if I look on row 9, or if I think of my multiples of 9, then I remember, oh, guess what? 63 is very good friends with 9. In fact, 63 is a multiple of 9. And because 62 is so big, if I change it to 63, that really doesn't make that big of a difference. They're still very close together. 63 is still close to 61 and 7/10. And that way, my estimate is very easy to find. It's 7. Okay, so do that with those bigger numbers. In a problem like this, where we have two small numbers, it's not okay to be like, oh, let's say that's 8. Yeah, that's 2, right? Those aren't friendly. Those aren't compatible with 7/8 and 1/4. But bigger numbers, you can move them a number or 2 up or down. So that's it. That is how we estimate when we divide fractions. Take some practice. Make sure you make it easy. Find some friendly numbers that are still close, but very much more compatible to work with than fractions and the numbers that you are given.